breaking news. Let me give it to you guys real quick, and then I want to ask you how you're feeling, Anna, about all the developments. Nate Cohn from New York Times says, so far, no one has projected Nevada for Biden, but this is all but a done deal. Virtually all of the remaining vote is from Clark County, which is heavily Democratic. And the latest numbers from Nevada are Biden with a 1.6% lead and over a 20,000 vote lead. Nate Cohn should be asking the New York Times, the organization he works for, why haven't you called Nevada? It's super obvious. If the only thing left is not only Democratic districts, but heavily Democratic districts, and Biden already has a 20,000 vote lead, what on God's green earth are you waiting for? But what's Trump gonna say? Just call it already. Okay, Nevada doesn't end the election, so it's okay. You could do more political correctness later. Anyway, let me not taint what you think, Anna, etc. I'm curious because I was so excited that Biden won. Now I got a little bit angry that the news organizations are what the New York Times called worried about a politically fraught situation in calling the election. So I'm curious, you were pessimistic before. What's your take these days? Are you excited or this moment?
Well, it really depends on what kind of news you're watching. So let me be clear in noting that I don't rely on CNN to get my news. But as I'm getting ready for work, if I want something on in the background just to see if there's anything actually breaking, I'll have CNN on. And since I watch CNN, I feel like, I don't know, I have a very different take because they've been really good about immediately debunking any of the nonsense coming from the Trump campaign regarding voter fraud and all of that. They haven't given him an inch, but they also have been pretty responsible in not prematurely stating anything, right? So they keep saying we're gonna count all the ballots, which I think is important. I think at this point, it's abundantly clear that Biden is going to legitimately win this election. And that is while keeping in mind that the Trump campaign certainly did succeed in disenfranchising voters. So this election has been too close for comfort. I think that Biden did poorly when it comes to campaigning, especially when it comes to reaching out to Latino voters. We've talked about that in depth. But you also have to keep in mind that the post office just completely refused to cooperate with what the federal judges demanded that they do. There have been a number of ballots tossed out in various swing states, and if you look at the demographics that were impacted the most, of course, it's black voters, minority voters, people who would likely vote for Joe Biden. And so we'll see how this plays out. But as you mentioned, Cenk, there are some news organizations that are, I don't know why, maybe they're trying to appear as though they're being like super fair to Trump, but you don't need to do that. Just report the news, report the facts, report where we're at. The Trump campaign has failed to give us a specific example, a piece of evidence that proves their point of voter fraud, and that is the news, okay? There is no evidence of voter fraud, and if they're gonna file these lawsuits, let it go through the courts, fine. But if they can't provide any examples of actual voter fraud and they're just making up these vague accusations, then it's nonsense, and you need to be clear about that. CNN has, from what I've seen, perhaps other news organizations have not.
Yeah, so now let me go to you guys before we go to our Trump in memoriam video. Ballot Wagon Dragon in the member section just makes it clear with the comment of na 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 na. One of my favorite comments, so thank you. Ballot Wagon Dragon, I just got it. I think that's a reference to the Crowder story we did yesterday. The ballot wagon. And you know how you're Salt Dragon and I'm Justice Dragon and John is Daddy Dragon from Dragon Squad, or Dragon Daddy. I don't know how it works in these. Are we doing cosplay now? Is that what we're doing?
Anyway. Oh my gosh! Please don't. Can you imagine, hey, Cenk? Wait, what kind of dragon are you again?
I'm Justice Dragon. Ooh. If you're doing cosplay, that's a badass character to have.
So if I'm Salt Dragon and I'm breathing salt rather than fire, does that mean that I can cure people?
Or pour salt in their wounds. There's a lot of ways that it could go.
Salt is very useful.
Well, you're the salt of the earth. Okay, so now a useful, that was fun, thank you. A useful comment here with information. Mr. Lumberg from our member section says, Georgia law requires a recount anytime the difference between candidate is 0.5% or less, so this is no surprise. And so as things currently stand, Biden is leading in Georgia, but it is under 0.5%. So thanks for coming in with that info that we wanted to update you guys on. But now going to super chats, Jaja Binks continues with the dragon theme. Can we get a Dragon Squad shirt of Trump? Dracaris. Daddy Dragon heard that, so they're on it. All right. Dragon Squad shirts, by the way, are badass. And so is this one. If you haven't seen it yet, you're fired. Okay, Uncle Sam firing Trump, which happened this morning. So shoptyt.com for both of those, shoptyt.com. What t-shirt is Wolf Blitzer wearing? No, I'm just kidding, all right.
Dude, I can't get, his name is Wolf Blitzer. And there's another host named Poppy Harlow. Like the names on CNN, like they can't be beat.
And we're having fun with Justice Dragon. Their actual names are Poppy and Wolf.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I named Wolfpack after Wolf Blitzer. Just kidding. Definitely did not do that. Okay, so now more. Kadir, who is that's my middle name. So hey, how you doing, Kadir? Bernie says on Super Chat, Bernie Sanders should be the Senate majority or unfortunately minority leader, depending on how Georgia goes. A progressive for Speaker of the House, how realistic is that? How would that change power in Washington? Well, that's a great conversation and one we're going to have throughout today, probably stretching all the way into our post game for the members after this 6 o'clock show. So become a member. We'll talk more about that as we have in a lot of the post games. But I'm going to answer your question in a second. In order to be a member, if you haven't heard, tyt.com/join. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the join button below. A progressive Speaker of the House is enormously unlikely. Anna and I reported last night that the conservative Democrats are furious and are trying to get a more conservative right-wing speaker than even Nancy Pelosi. And we haven't heard anything from the progressive legislators in the House about challenging Pelosi. And if they did, Washington would be furious at them. Should they? Of course they should. Would they win in this year? Unlikely, but that's okay. You got to start the fight so that one day you could win the fight. That's was the thesis behind Just Democrats in the first place. So we'll see how that goes. Bernie becoming Senate majority or minority leader should happen if we actually had a Democratic Party with strength. And if Biden should turn around and go, oh, Lindsey Graham, you thought maybe you should try to steal the election and you went on Fox News when you knew that I had won and talked about trying to get state electors to flip and cheat to put Trump in office, and you didn't believe in democracy. Well, okay, I got news for you. I'm backing Bernie Sanders for leader in the Senate. Chance of Joe Biden doing that is 0%, less than 0%. Now he wouldn't get to decide. The Senate caucus for the Democrats gets to decide, but again, there's no chance that those conservative Senate Democrats are going to let Bernie do that. So it is what it is. Now, on a lighter note, last one here for now. Boss 21 says, I was jealous this morning when I first saw Cenk with that shirt, but it's okay. I just bought my wife and I one. You're fired. Yes, okay. It is fun. And now I'm a little worried they're going to sell it. I hope we can get it to you guys in time. Keep it going though, shoptyt.com. And now even non-Young Turks fans, I think, are starting to buy it because it kind of kicks ass. Okay, yes,
real quick,
Anna.
Cenk, I have to share something with you all because it's one of my favorite things ever. So as I was watching CNN live today, I noticed that Rick Santorum was included on their panel discussion about Trump losing. It appeared that Rick Santorum conceded that Donald Trump is going to lose this election. And then he had a pretty desperate plea to the American people that I would like to share with you. And then ask yourselves if people who voted Democrat in 2016 were given the same courtesy. Santorum says, give people time. He wants everyone to let Trump and his fans work out their feelings after losing.
Oh, but I was led to believe that facts don't care about your feelings.
The alpha males are back.
The alphas gotta work out their feelings first. Work it out, Trump. I know you don't believe in exercise, but work it out, work out those feelings, okay? Maybe over a nice quarter pounder and cheese. To be fair, that's what I had yesterday.
Oh, it sounds really good right now. I know it's early in the
But I
morning.
added bacon. Anyways, this is actually breaking news. Good news, bad news. Let me start with the bad news. Remember Jeff Van Drew in New Jersey? He flipped from being a Democrat to being a Republican and came out and said, oh, Donald Trump, I too will lick your boots. And he was a corporate Democrat. Democratic Party had supported, even though he voted with the Republicans all the time. And then he was like kidding, takes the Scooby-Doo mask off, and he's a Republican. Well, he was in a really tight race in New Jersey. He just won. That race is called Turncoat Jeff Van Drew in New Jersey is going back to Congress. Okay, now more important good news. Although it continues to be ironic that it's coming from the New York Times. All right, Jennifer Medina of all people reporting, Mike Noble, a Phoenix-based pollster, told me, quote, that's a wrap for the presidential contest in Arizona. Trump needed almost 60% on this ballot job, and he got very low 50s, hashtag ballgame. Okay, remember, Associated Press and Fox News have already called Arizona. New York Times apparently, according to their own reporters, knows that Joe Biden will win Arizona. Tick, 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 tick. They have not called Nevada or Arizona, which are plainly obvious that they are going to Biden. And those two are enough, even without Pennsylvania, let alone Georgia. But they're all worrying about Trump's feelings and not sharing the actual news that the election is over so far. Nate Cohn from New York. So far, no one has projected Nevada for Biden, but this is all but a done deal. Virtually all of the remaining vote is from Clark County, which is heavily Democratic. I read that to you earlier. So that's Nevada and Arizona. That's the New York Times reporting Nevada and Arizona are over, except the New York Times will not call Nevada and Arizona. Tick, 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 tick. What are we waiting for? Let them work out their feelings on their own time. Call the election. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.